Last week, we heard from the heads of companies of India's manufacturing and industrial sectors. And this week, on the Economic Times and IBM present Reshape Tomorrow, we're focusing on the insurance and retail sectors in India. First up, we meet the leaders from India's insurance sector who talk to us about the growth that they have seen in their businesses during the lockdown, how technology has helped them, and the way ahead.
This is a very special panel. Today we're looking at insurance 2020 and beyond, what's next. And I have a stellar star cast, the who's who of the insurance industry. At Bajaj Allianz Life, how have you kind of used technology to help, keep this customer interaction better, or, kind of be in touch with your sales force that's spread out all across the country?
So I think the few changes have happened where the customer itself has been insisting on taking on technology. So, I mean, most CEOs have been chasing their distribution teams to start using technology, but here, they have kind of just gulped it up themselves. And no matter how much you can give them, they've been taking it up. At Bajaj Allianz, what we have done is we focused on safe customer-facing technologies. Today, like you can conduct this session on Zoom on a screen-to-screen basis. Today, I am selling life insurance on a screen-to-screen basis. We always used to think that customers would not pick up, new technology, and customer-facing technology is always a problem. And I think this is all in our heads. One fine evening, and everybody's suddenly become technology denizens. So we've got this screen-to-screen app, and I've had about 50,000 sessions organized. And we've got stupendous feedback from customers. You can actually, I can share the screen with you of my own Instab, which is an insurance tablet. The screen, you will be able to see the screen. I can fill the form in front of you. You can see how it's getting filled. If Sumit is spelled with 2 O's or 1 U, you can figure out to correct it. The transparency's gone up significantly. Trust factor is what technology is helping us bring in. And particularly for us, the screen-to-screen sharing has been a phenomenal bit which we've been able to use and take benefit of.
How do you see technology that's being used to strengthen this relationship and enhance the quality of the customer interactions? What's your take on that?
I think the convergence of technologies, right? It's changed both the buyer and seller behavior. And insurance industry, therefore, hasn't been very different, right? So, and as Tarun said, we are using technology to redefine the industry itself and transforming the customer experience. Now, the point I will make is that this issue of trust, I think the whole area of using technology to buy and sell, that's one part of the equation where you show them exactly what is being filled out and so on. I also believe that we have a tremendous opportunity to use data, artificial intelligence, augmented intelligence, whatever you may call it, to actually demystify the products that we are selling to the insured. And I've experienced this myself, when I was in the industry, trying to sort of sell health coverage to folks who didn't even know exactly what they were buying, right? So when they were getting into it, the biggest issue that people were worried about is, I'm going to be paying, 100 rupees of premium. Am I really getting, the value out of it? The value mindset is there. And after I pay that 100 rupees, will I get the benefit or coverage at that point when I need it, which I don't know when it's going to be? So I actually do believe, and I've actually tested this in the US and in other Western markets. I've actually tested this with others in the industry, that if we were to demystify the product, which even today, I think we've done a brilliant job of mystifying what we sell as the product. But if we demystify that, number one, it will create more a level of trust in terms of what the customer is buying, educating them on what are the risks that they are insuring themselves against, what they can maybe self-insure themselves through prevention, etc., and what they should be covering themselves for. But if you do that right, number one, we will add the trust factor. Number two, I believe that we will be able to sell higher premium levels because there will be risks that they will become aware of that they are not getting covered for.
In fact, I'll say that technology and simplification, it goes hand in hand. When you actually leverage on technology, you have to be really simple, because you can't actually sell complicated products online. You can't sell kind of jargon over email or whatever. So it has to be simple. And I think that is what the regulator has kind of mandated now. It will be a volume game. And because this country has got population which is kind of 1.3 billion or even more, actually, even if a small proportion, let's say if we're able to increase our penetration from, let's say currently it is just hovering around 3%, if that goes up to 5%, imagine the number of customers who are going to get in. And clearly insurance awareness is there to kind of, it's providing sort of tailwinds to the industry. So that coupled with the simplification which is there, coupled with the technology.
I think there will be two kinds of products. Life insurance actually caters to the need of very broad population. But I think it will get broken into two parts. The kinds that existed before, I don't think it's going to go away. It will perhaps shrink. So the likes of ULIP will remain, or the participating designs that we sell will remain. However, there'll be higher proportion of simplified designs which are comparable. Earlier, the big issue was how do you compare X's product with Y's product, with different features, etc. But I think comparability and simplicity will go hand in hand to be aided by technology. So there are three or four products that people will be able to compare. For example, protection is something which is comparable. For every lakh of sum assured, how much do you have to pay for an age band? Very comparable. And that's why, that market is growing quite rapidly. If you look at, for example, some of the aggregators and their business, our own business growing quite rapidly. The second one will be, where you could compare returns. So, typically non-par guaranteed designs, smaller tickets, larger tickets, but what is the return on which it could be compared? The third one, where again, you compare the returns in annuities, and globally you'll find annuities selling a lot on internet. So I think there'll be categories where it will become simplified and it will go on.
In general insurance industry, it's been a mixed bag. I can't say that everything has been great. The response of the industry has been superb. I think everybody has been up and running in COVID times. Claim settlement efficiencies, policy issuance efficiencies, all that. I think all the players have responded pretty well. But on the demand side, we are linked to the underlying economy because we insure assets in the economy, whether it is lives or assets. And if the economy is struggling, it will have an impact on general insurance. From a performance-wise, it's a story where some insurance companies have done well. The smaller ones like us, we are probably among the top 2-3 growing companies because we got our health segment right, because we were able to forge ahead on health. We reduced our dependency on motor consciously over the last 2 years. Large players have struggled because if you're largely OEM dependent, motor dependent, you are bound to struggle. So it's been a mixed bag for the industry. But let me say that in terms of response to policyholders for claim settlement or policy issuance, I think the industry has done a tremendous job.
So anybody who's listening in and they have to buy a health insurance policy, how would you weigh in on them, and how should they be buying health insurance? What are the right questions that need to be asked, especially in a time like this?
I will now act as maybe an internet-based advisor and advise the consumers that there are three segments. One is a young segment, which is about in the age of say 23, when typically you join a job, up to 30 years. Now this segment, I must tell you, we buy everything from the internet today, whether it's grocery or whether it's clothes, etc., medicines, everything. Even we have now, to the extent, have practiced what we call is telemedicine. We take opinion from doctors also on phone. Now, when it comes to buying insurance, I have seen this age group, because my daughter belongs to this age group, they are still not confident. They still feel they need someone who can come on a call. And why? There are two reasons. One is they're afraid that they don't know what product may suit them. So, and the other one is they're not sure of what happens when there is an actual claim. To my dear friends, I must advise you, go for a simple policy to begin with. Find out just three questions. Do they have enough hospitals, whoever is the provider, so that in case there is a claim, you know how to go, how to reach to them at the time of an emergency? What kind of network is there? How simple is the process of lodging a claim and consuming the claim services? At the same time, I will strongly recommend for my young friends to buy a PA policy. Nobody knows when accident comes. You may avoid geriatric disorders at an early age in your life, but accident, God forbid, coming home from a party at late night, we don't know who's banging whose car or what happens at that point of time. We all have limited sources of income, and it is always good in times of uncertainty to protect your whatever पूंजी जिसको हम बोलते हैं हिंदी में, whatever little funds that we have, it's always good to insure, because that's your best friend in today's scenario.
Welcome back to the Economic Times and IBM present Reshape Tomorrow, a series of industry CEO discussions across different sectors. After the insurance sector, we hear from top leaders in the retail sector about the impact of the lockdown on their businesses, how they use technology to reinvent their processes, and what lies ahead for them.
Hello and welcome to the Reshape Tomorrow Retail CEO Roundtable, brought to you by the Economic Times and by IBM. We chat with the top leaders of the retail industry in India, and the subject we'll discuss is From Mayhem to Momentum, Retail Beyond 2020. One thing is to hope and wait that things will probably carry on in the same vein and the growth chart will keep moving up. The other thing is to actually proactively try and influence that through initiative and through strategy and through different means to try and see how can you actually sustain this growth. You're already seeing growth indicators, but how are you strategizing from moving this growth to on a faster track?
What we are pushing for very aggressively in Q4, we are taking a bet on is weddings for sure, where we think there's going to be a much larger swing on that. And we are preparing for that in terms of inventory, products, campaigns, including we've launched an enabler program called Riva Ashirwad, which is a short-term, you can build up, it's like an advance purchase scheme in which you can save up and then get a certain off after that. The second big thing that we are focusing on is in terms of our CRM and analytics. The engine has now started really kicking in a big way. We have a large customer base, Encircle customer base, and the analytics engine as well as the CRM platform that we're using, in a way, generating leads through propensity modeling, as well as through we get about 2 million customers who visit our website online every month, unique visitors, and we are engaging them with live chats, and then thereafter, feeding those high propensity leads to customers. So that entire piece, which I would call as the digital leapfrog and remote shopping, has worked well, and that is also a big thrust area that we are continuing to push very, very strongly. We are seeing a 3x, 4x jump in that over last year.
The pandemic really has, it has disrupted any sort of planning or strategizing for the retail sector. But if you are to go from sustaining yourself to growth, what are the kind of growth indicators that you're seeing and how are you strategizing around it?
I think uncertainty around the lockdown led to a lot of skewed demand, limited to probably hundreds of SKU versus the 1,000. And last 8 months of this year, I think if I say it's been like driving a car with a broken dashboard, because you didn't really know, which way to go, and you had to figure out a lot. And I think if you also notice, consumption and climate decoupled this time, and all the past algorithms and heuristics and rules, codes that have been used to deliver good decision making became irrelevant. I think you have to convert the business model and be where the customer is. For us, we've coined it as an out-of-store business. So more focus on the app, home delivery, working with the RWAs, resident welfare associations, and a large part of the business, or I would say pre-pandemic, whatever was a minuscule single digit, a large part of the business now comes from us serving the customers even at home. And now predictability is coming back a bit, definitely, and it has totally redefined supply chains.
When the pandemic hit and there was complete lockdown everywhere, I think our first priority was to reopen stores. And as we began reopening stores, we realized that our customers, the communities, would have loved to get a pizza, but what they needed even more was essentials. And we had this infrastructure, we had this fleet of delivery manpower, we had the stores. So we reached out to ITC, reached out to Amul and various other companies. And we actually had our riders deliver dal, chawal, atta, doodh, dahi, ghee, all of these stuff, chini, chai, etc., etc. It did two things, of course. Actually, three things. It ensured that we gave service to our customers and the communities at no cost, no delivery charges, nothing. And that, of course, brought us closer to the customers. Number one. Number two, it served to energize our employees because suddenly they felt they were part of a larger purpose. They were serving communities, serving customers, not just delivering what was seen to be non-essential product like a pizza then. And the third thing it did for us was that it got the entire brand together much more strongly with customers. So it served the community, it served the brand, and it served our employees. So it did really well for us.
I'll come to Arvind. What are the segments that you think are the growth drivers in the future?
Now, we are not just interested in growth, we talk about profitable growth. So we have to look at how do you make delivery business profitable? Because right now in the market, we have big giants who are offering free delivery, right? There are people offering free credit. We don't do that because these things are not conducive to long-term sustainable profit growth. So we then have to optimize the route plans. We have to offer them something which nobody else is doing. So we have a program which we call the Smart Kirana program, where we are focused on making Kiranas more successful. And success for a Kirana is defined in terms of three things: higher sales, higher profits, and better cash flows. So we are helping them remodel their stores and convert into independent supermarkets so that they can compete with modern retail as well as online. We get them special offers so that they can sell well below MRP because the era of selling at MRP is over. We help them with data analytics so that they can do customized offers for their customers. They're also getting a lot of orders from their customers now on WhatsApp. They even have a small B2C app through which their customers can order with them. So we are seeing that Kirana customers are also evolving their business model.
So how are you coping, and how is customer loyalty playing a part in your business in this kind of a crisis situation?
Weddings has really been a big, huge, plus for us. India is a country of big fat weddings, even though the weddings have gone a bit leaner in the last few months because of the lockdown restrictions. I think the weddings continue to be something which is very much a part of the Indian fabric. And I think that's really where we have sold a majority of our fabric in those occasions. Plus, I think Diwali, has been a big one for us. I think the festivity, whatever said and done, just has picked up the sentiments of the people. We, of course, brought in a lot of web-based appointments, WhatsApp, catalog shopping, QR coding on window shops. We have a very strong CRM, close to about 8 million consumers that we have on our database. And that's something which really, as someone just mentioned, was really a big reservoir of our revenues in these lean months.
In India, you're successful in a business if you operate it right. We can talk a lot of things in boardrooms and in webinars. At the end of the day, all of us as leaders know it is the successful execution of the business which works. So in a lot of ways, I think what we have been able to focus in the company is to change the mindset and the culture of the organization and then tune it and retune it to a large extent. We firmly always believe that what got us to a certain place will not keep us to that place, right? And I think that mindset has really helped during COVID, because the COVID threw all the normal ways of working and all the strategies out of gear, right? It was about nimbleness, agility, and all using adoption of technology and all of this that we are talking about. But at the heart of all of this is how do you steer organization culture which focuses on what the consumer needs, and does the organization have the ability to keep pivoting every time? And this pivot does not only mean omni-channel, moving online, offline to online. it is I would go back to it. It is a lot about mindset, and I think we need to always keep this mindset going, which I think has a lot to do with our success overall as a company, but very specifically post-COVID, our recouping of business has a lot to do with that.
With every passing month, the demand seems to be coming back, and our thing has to be was really to ensure that we need to be ready to tap the growth and the return of expenditure as and when it happens.
Mm-hmm.
So we pretty much kind of focus on ensuring that we were ready to tap the growth because getting the consumer in is not our part. And second was, wherever they are, let's try and reach them using the other means, which is basically our app and M-site and website and all of those. So our stores were really kind of, as somebody put it, I think we swung into action immediately. We were doing a daily track of our employees across the country and really kind of ensuring that people are safe. That was the biggest priority. And we quickly put in place in-store protocols. I think most of us did, for employees as well as for the customers. And we ensured that safety was paramount, because where the demand had actually crashed, a couple of customers or transactions didn't really matter. But what mattered was, in a time where knowledge was half-baked, it was important to ensure that everybody was safe. And they had access because people didn't know what to do in case somebody was testing positive. So we had helplines in, plus for the first maybe 7 or 8 people who kind of tested positive and came back, we had a roundtable so that the rest of the organization could kind of really understand how to take care of themselves, etc.
In this series, Reshape Tomorrow, that we have been doing for some time now with various sectors, what we've observed is that how digital adoption has really helped all sectors overcome the challenges posed by the pandemic. So I'll come to you, Sandeep. While we talk about and try to predict the abstracts of brand loyalty and consumer sentiment, let's come to the particulars about the areas of technology that the retail sector should invest in to grow, to go to a phase of growth now.
Now I think there is a time to unlock the potential for more resilient and sustainable business model and ecosystem. So technologies which I think are becoming very, very relevant is hybrid cloud, automation. We heard many people talk about sort of the cost efficiencies and agility. But I think all of the other technologies are Internet of Things, artificial intelligence. All of these can accelerate transformation and position retailers to emerge smarter, more agile, and ready to meet changing consumer needs. I think many of the speakers talked about agility and how do you get to operational efficiency. I think that underpins everything that we do. For example, one of the things that we are now starting to see is also the creation of new business models and revenue models that people are starting to take advantage of, and this is where technology can play a big role. So I think all of these technologies are going to help the industry start to operate in the new normal, and what I think the challenges are of the market and the consumers that they are serving.